I'm WG, and it's high time we talk about probably the most potent low investment DPS in the entire game since launch of Season 2, or maybe even since launch in the game, and that is Beryl. Now, Beryl has been very prominent since start of Season 2 due to the ability to use spores and Beryl to take advantage of those. If you haven't yet seen that interaction, you'll be surprised. But what else is on the menu is the fact that we now have another arena perk that can boost Beryl, in that you can gain 25% extra attack damage. And also something that's quite interesting is that seemingly, if we go to save data real quick, this perk right here, if damage through a card was not dealt to an enemy for one turn, at the start of the next turn increase damage amount by 50%, works for Beryl as well. And that is because opening founds do not get treated as card damage, because technically they're giving you a upgrade perk rather than a card. And the same is also true for if you have a character that wants to stack up a bunch of buffs for the next attack card used. Beryl opening founds do not interfere with those. So that is the entire idea behind this Beryl. Overall, let's quickly go through investment, cards, partners and the like, and then we'll talk about how you can make her work for you, as well as some showcases on what kind of pieces of content she can absolutely annihilate and how damn simple it is. So we're starting off with Rosaria, where we're just getting the increased attack by 16%, the 20% extra attack damage, and then also when we do use an upgrade or skill card, we have a chance to gain morale, and we also have the ability to draw ourselves one more upgrade card, and if there are no upgrade cards in the draw pile, draw one, which can help us draw out our main card, which is the opening found 5th Epiphany. So that's it for cards. Then potential wise, the only thing you need is the crit chance, crit damage, and then the top right potential. But even the top right potential you can ignore, because this doesn't really have anything to do, nor does it do anything for this Beryl. So specifically you would be done with just crit chance and crit damage, and you do not need the unique card upgrade, and that is because the extra opening found damage is not affected by these upgrades. So yeah, overall she really only wants the crit chance, wants the crit damage. You can ignore this one, you can ignore this one, you can ignore this one, and you can ignore these two as well. So as low investment as you're probably going to get. And now let's quickly talk about gear pieces, because a lot of you were curious about it. So what we have ourselves right here is going to be honestly pretty simple, and that is we have attack on the Blackwing Vision, then we have Justice damage right here, critical chance, then here crit chance, crit damage, crit chance, crit damage, obviously some extra attack, crit chance, damage, some extra attack. And from what I've heard, supposedly the attribute damage does not seem to increase the damage of a Beryl opening found. So how about we test it right now to see if I've been building her wrong all along. Alright, so super simple test. Here we take one opening found, we play it out, we play out this card so that this one gets retained, and then we just watch the two shots, see 540 and 1117. So this is the goblet we're swapping away from: crit chance, crit damage, attack, and we're swapping over to attack, percentage, attack, and crit chance. So let's see if anything changes here. The set effects are still both active. Alright, so same setup, one opening found, the Spore Harvester. Let's check the two shots, see what's happening. 490 and 964. So whoever likes to tell you that they know better, that in fact using the Justice damage does not affect her, they are, you could say a little bit out of their minds apparently. And I guess I've been building her right all along. Just for reference, the actual damage in terms of equipment was we went down from 863 attack with the attack percentage goblet now to 761 attack with the Justice goblet. Alright, now let's just quickly go through the manifest egos to see if they do anything for this Beryl. So the weapon specialist, we couldn't care less. The retain damage, we couldn't care less. This we don't care about. The ultimate is whatever. And then this last one, when a Beryl card is retained, she gains condense, and when a Beryl attack card is used, extra damage. So this also doesn't affect her, meaning this is a completely and fully valid E0 build. Alright, then let's discuss the most important part. Let's discuss save data. So, save data, the thing that should be pretty obvious is you want to get yourself as many opening founds as possible. 4 is optimal, 3 can still absolutely be okay. Just keep in mind you're losing 25% of your damage output due to having 1 less interaction with your retain cards. Then the guilty pleasure, you want any guilty pleasure. If it has draw, that's fine. Any version, really, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Then again, this one right here, decreased cost of 1 random card of this unit in hand by 1 could help you hypothetically play out her cards earlier on turn 1. And the reason why the guilty pleasure isn't that important is because you end up very quickly in a scenario where you don't have to play any cards anymore anyway. So regardless of what your guilty pleasure does, it's really only there for turn 1 setup. Now then, for the rest, we also have ourselves Spore Harvester. Spore Harvester is the premier choice to be used to get yourself the contaminated spores that then start doubling. If not, you can also find the Forgotten Grave 6 cost card, but it does require you to find a way to reduce its cost by exhausting cards so that you can play it, so that you can get the contaminated spore, which is the one that gives you crit chance and cost reduction for hunters. And then for the last one, we have Unlimited Firepower. Now, Unlimited Firepower, the one here, has a Draw Divine, but that is completely not necessary. And it would be way more preferable for you to find the upgrade version so you can play it out once and you don't have to play it again. But you know what the best part is? You don't even have to care about this one bit, and that is due to the fact that starting from turn 2, starting from turn 3, you aren't drawing any cards anymore anyway. So whatever unlimited firepower you have, it's irrelevant. And Charge Shot you can also keep in at any of its retained versions. It just helps you get started a little quicker, or you can cut it out. It all comes out to pretty much a very similar result. And that is nothing much changes. And then the last part right here is obviously gear pieces. So for the first slot, you either want second method with the extra attack damage, or you want the Thorn weapon that has this perk that we have now through an arena perk, and that is if damage through a card was not dealt to an enemy for 1 turn, at the start of the next turn increased damage amount, which for whatever reason works with opening found. Then on the chest piece, if you can get it, you want the same thing, or something like this where you increase the damage amount of extra attacks by 25%. Something else that could or should in fact be looked for is the Cthulhu weapon, as always. The team support weapon would work as well with the 8% attack, but not as great. Anything that attack percentage boosts can work, like for example on the Justice planet there's a legendary sword with 15% attack, that one would be pretty great as well. And then finally, you can also just put in like an Amorphous Cube into the last slot to get 25% damage amount, because any boosts to damage amount, even through something like Morale, do apply to opening found. So let's take on one of the most annoying bosses in the game, depending on if you've built your decks for him, depending on how you feel about him. So we'll just be facing Judas right here, and our game plan is super simple. We play out our opening founds, we create our shrooms, and that's it. We're done. She has one of the easiest setups in the entire game. And that's it, right? Like, that is Beryl in a nutshell. There is nothing more to it, nothing less to it. We're just going to continue having all these cards be discarded first, doubling the shrooms. Now we are already on 8 out of the 10 possible shrooms, meaning with the next turn we'll be on 10 out of 10. And that's it, right? That is Sporel gameplay. And there is nothing much that you have to worry about, unless for some reason the enemies do so much damage that you die before you can kill them. But even then, you can always just put yourself in characters with actual gear, so you don't just have 1100 HP or 1200 HP. Here you can see a clear 43,700 damage in 1 turn. That is nothing that anybody really survives. So then let's do an entire tower run of the hardest tower stage in the game, and then to cap it off, how about we take on the current Great Rift to see how far a Beryl can truly go. So we do our guilty pleasure to draw our cards out, we play out our opening founds, we double our Spore Harvester, we end our turn. And that is basically about as much as we need to do. So first off, we're just retaining 2 cards, but at least it's already doubled into 4. Then the next time around we're going to be retaining 4, but it already doubles into 8. And then for the final turn we'll be retaining 8, but it increases from 8 to 10, giving us maximum power. What is also interesting is if you end your turn, the end of turn damage will happen before the enemy even has a chance to attack you. And that means so long as the target, or so long as the enemy cannot attack you, basically they can't attack you because they're dead, right? If something dies, they won't be able to attack you, they don't know what hit him. And something that's even more crazy is any like increases to damage reduction upon getting hit by a card only apply to attack cards and not end of turn damage. So even against an enemy that were to continuously stack up damage reductions after getting hit, like for example this guy right here, you'll see that our damage stays completely unaffected and all the way through Beryl. Yeah, she just does what she does. Yep. And that is, you know what the beauty about this is? That is every single turn. Unconditionally every single turn. What you can also do if you wanted to is you can get rid of a couple contaminated spores. Because if you have less than 5 contaminated spores, you will be able to draw cards next turn, allowing you to also draw potential heals, draw potential buffs and the like. And if you wanted to make this Beryl even stronger, you find yourself the Dominion legendary card that continues to stack morale or any other permanent sources of morale, because those affect the extra attack damage. Then again, do you really need to do that here? That is why she's one of the most easy to farm, one of the most approachable characters, and probably one of the smartest to build if you're getting a little tired of making strategies. So that's been that right here. So let's quickly beat the first phase of Great Rift, make our way into the second one and see how far we get. Alright, so here we go, full powered Beryl. We have whatever decks on Typhara and on Orlea. Our entire goal is just to try and get into our Beryl rotation as fast as possible. No guarantees though, so let's see how long it takes us. Here we can play one, draw one. I mean, what do we have to lose, right? Let's see what happens. We get 1 AP, we draw one, it's the Spore Harvester. So we can play out the opening found. And for now we're actually going to keep the Spore Harvester in our hand. There we go, so we now have another one, a Guilty Pleasure. There we have another one. And then let's see if we can, with our last draw, potentially pick out another opening found out of our deck for the final one. Not quite. Maybe here with the draw. Nope. But that means at least next turn we get that one. And we just have to make sure we get rid of everything else that could, you could say, interfere. Let's already jumpstart this contamination creation right here. Oh, let's hope I didn't overgamble and we actually get it. Alright, so let's just get rid of the softie here. Alright. And we can get rid of farm conversions. And we found opening farm, but it's actually at 3 cost. Huh. Is there anything we can do about that? Maybe with a partner redraw? No. If I draw 2 more, maybe? Do a creation. Annoying. Alright, I guess we're doing this with just 3 opening founds then. Or maybe we can reroll save the Rosaria skill. Let's hope this one actually gives us the right upgrade card. There we go. Alright, perfect. So, from now we're hands off though. It did take 4 turns to set up, and there should 100% be an easier way to do it. But for now, this is what we'll be going with. I think the only thing you might want to criticize is the fact that regardless of how much damage Beryl does, she'll only ever be able to have like half a burst turn, you could say, and that is because if she kills him the turn before, he then goes fully down here. But that also means at least all of these shots would, in a hypothetical hit phase right here, as you see. So our combat score now goes up to 745,000. And then I think we still have 2 more damage windows. The only real question is how much do we deal, right? How much do we deal to these hands? Is this enough to kill these hands in 1 turn? The answer is probably not. At least not if we're critting like this, or is it? You know what? Maybe it is. Damn. So that would mean a hypothetical every singular second turn. So if we can set this up turn 3 or turn 4, we should have, yeah, 4 to 5 head hitting opportunities here. So if this is turn 7 and turn 8 to set up turn 9 to hit. Ooh, if only we got this combo going 1 turn earlier. If we had this going 1 turn earlier, we would have had an entire new row of hits right here. Oh, damn. That is pretty potent. That is pretty potent, Mrs. Beryl. Yeah, damn. So yeah, you are in fact able to kill the hands every single turn. And as you'll also see, the damage does go up because the hands do count as targets to be hit as well. So it's not necessarily like you're wasting damage every single turn by destroying the hands. You're still getting the damage output. It just, I don't even know if hitting the hands or the face actually makes any real difference now that I think about it. So yeah, by us just being able to potentially set this combo up turn 1 and then starting to get the shrooms turn 2, turn 3, maybe even cheating in a tricky, like a little Orlea, allowing us to retain into more spores, helping us take less time to get this set up, we might be getting even more damage. So what is the final score? 966,527 on turn 10. And then obviously there is no turn 11. So 966,527. Let's see where that would put us on the rankings. So merit ranking, diamond. The cutoff is 996,349. So in a hypothetical, you would be able to enter into Master, especially if you refine this a bit more by using Orlea to create more spores early, by finding a way to play out all 4 cards turn 1 with, for example, like the Cthulhu, Cthulhu 1 draw 1 AP turn 1, or any cost reduction items you can find. So for example here, if you had this on one of your supports, or just by having low card to almost empty card decks. So there's a lot of ways you can improve upon this, and getting 966,000 here for that is still pretty darn good.